The Calgary Flames might be out of the playoffs, but the Baby Flames might actually have a great postseason ahead of them.
You're Locked On Flames, your daily podcast on the Calgary Flames. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Locked On Flames. As always, I'm your host, Jess Belmosto, and thank you so much for joining me. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off of your first purchase. Today, we're going to do a little bit of a Wranglers preview along with a nice feature on Jacob Pelletier that Wes Gilbertson did, and Nazem Kadri had a pretty cool announcement today on Twitter, and I'm going to dive more into that and what that might entail here on Locked On Flames. But first, make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube, so you never miss a show. We are here for you Monday through Friday, your team every day. The Wranglers offseason starts tomorrow night against the currently Tucson Roadrunners, who are obviously the affiliate of the once formerly known as Arizona Coyotes. And this is going to be a really fun matchup. Both have really strong goaltenders. Obviously, Dustin Wolf returns for the postseason run, and he had a pretty solid run last year as well, and the year prior. I think that with Arizona or Tucson being on paper the much better team, I think that, that's obviously the immediate advantage, but we know that nothing drives a team quite like spite or that underdog mentality. And the Flames organization as a whole really relies on that to kind of keep the fire going underneath them and to keep themselves alive in a lot of things. Like we have seen in years prior, I would say even the season before this one, it was all about, trying to sneak into the playoffs because they weren't dead yet. It was going to take until game 82 to kill them, and it did. But Adam Klapka is 6'7" giant, as we have seen him in the NHL this season. He is the team leading scorer for the Wranglers, and Ben Jones is right behind him as well. Both have 40, or Klapka has 46 points, and Ben Jones has 43. And then right beneath that is Matt Coronado, who averaged over a point per game in 41 games. He finished the season with 42 points, and that's huge. We talk about it a lot, the jump from college to professional hockey, because in college hockey, specifically the division that Harvard is in, you aren't traveling all over the country, but you are playing a shorter season with academics on top of it, and you're doing a lot. And I think that's going to be a challenge for anyone to kind of change your lifestyle. Like, you aren't getting up and going to class. Like, you aren't just going to practice and then going back to your dorm room. Like, there's other aspects, and you have to start integrating the culture and the work ethic of a professional athlete. And Nick and I have joked about it a lot on the show that him and a few other players really need to start working with the team nutritionist and the team chef so they can get a meal plan going for them so they can put on the weight. And it's exciting. There's something very exciting about watching these guys continue their AHL careers or get comfortable in a season. And one of the biggest things that happened this season was Obviously the Jacob Pelletier injury at the start of the preseason, or end of the preseason, start of the regular season, where he had to miss up until February due to shoulder surgery and rehabbing. He came back, did a little conditioning stint with the Wranglers, went up to the Flames, wasn't playing well, didn't have the confidence to his game, and has been back in the AHL. And he's just the heartbeat of this team. Like, he is such a good kid and just wants to be everyone's best friend and be there for everyone. And I think that's neat. Along with other injuries, Jeremy Poirier had a significant injury to the point where, like, the team, like, doesn't talk about what happened on the ice because of how gory, I guess would be the word. He was like 4 or 5 games into the season. He was chasing an opponent, and he dove to, like, get the puck to defend, and the opponent's blade came right down on his arm, and they called it a laceration, which, like, to me, a laceration does not mean like it's a cut, not a wound that requires surgery and then physical therapy to recover from. So when I saw that, at first I was like, oh, like, I just got a little, little nick, like, he's fine. But no, he tried to play through this, and then he felt his jersey become soaked with blood and was like, oh, this is actually bad. And Trent Cull talked about it in an interview from earlier in the season, where he was like, I didn't think he was ever going to be able to pick up a hockey stick again. He did. He has. And as the Flames' best defensive prospect, you're glad that you're not losing him as a player, but you're also glad that him as a person is okay. I can't imagine, like, how bad something has to be for them to, like, not talk about it, Oh, that's scary. But that all happens tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Mountain Time, in Tucson. The Wranglers do not have home ice this series. It is best of 3. My bold prediction is, of course, Dustin Wolf gets at least 1 shutout. In order to reclaim home ice, they will need to win this series. So we will see what happens, and get your AHL TV subscription, or if you're in town, listen to Sportsnet 960 for all of the coverage. I would say go to the Dome to watch the game, but obviously that's not happening. But coming up next, we're going to talk more about Jacob Pelletier and just how important he is to not only the Flames locker room, but the Wranglers locker room, and every locker room and situation that he sets foot into. And we will be doing that right after the break. But first, I want to talk to you about Game Time. If you are like me, you are probably really starting to gear up for your summer road trips, your summer concerts, trips to ballparks. Maybe you're looking at even, like, football games. And I have the one-stop shop for you. Game Time is now an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to the game. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, view from your seats, and lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. I am very excited to take the trip down to New York City this summer and hopefully see Garrett Cole pitch. As a diehard Red Sox fan, it actually kills me to say this, but I have not crossed Yankee Stadium off of my bucket list yet. So that will be one more. Maybe hit up a Mets game too while I'm down there. And I can use features like customize your spot to find exactly where I want to be. And it's easy to find and buy MLB tickets for every kind of event in your area. Save up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, concert, comedy, theater, and more. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Create an lowest price guaranteed. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in today to Locked On Flames. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. So Wes Gilbertson is a wonderful, fantastic journalist in writing for the Calgary Herald. He does a really great job. I really like his work. He's actually one of the few journalists that I have consistently looked to in my tenure of covering the Flames. But today he published an article titled, "This is Where Players Are Made. Wranglers Pumped for Playoff Opener." Whatever happened over the past 6 or 7 months, it doesn't mean squat once the playoffs start. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. For me, it's a new season, declared Calgary Flames forward prospect Jacob Pelletier, a guy who isn't necessarily expecting to be back, who wasn't not necessarily expecting to be back in the minors this spring, but nonetheless raring to go for a Calder Cup push with the AHL Wranglers. That is a very good point. Everyone really thought that this was Peltz's year to make the jump from the AHL to the NHL full time. That did not happen due to the shoulder injury we talked about earlier. I think this is where players are made. You know, you can see what type of player you are in the playoffs. It's a new season, so whatever happened 2 days ago or 2 weeks ago or a month ago, it doesn't really matter. It's a huge first game coming up on Wednesday, and I think we just have to focus on that. I'm really excited about the challenge coming up here. I don't ever expect players to be like, yeah, you know, like this is what it is. Like we're going up against a much better team, so like we're just going to try our best. Facing a challenge like that head on, that's tough to do, especially when you haven't been playing hockey for the full season the way that some of these guys have, but it's also kind of an advantage because you might have more gas in the tank. Pelletier, along with Matt Coronado, Dustin Wolf, and the rest of the Flames farm clubbers, open their playoff quest this week with a best-of-3 series against the Tucson Roadrunners, which are the affiliate of the Coyotes. The Wranglers are the underdogs in this series. After settling for 7th in the AHL Pacific Division standings, the Wranglers are the underdogs in the opening round showdown. The second-place Roadrunners have the advantage of playing all 3 games, set for Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday in home in front of their fans, although their guests would have last change in the finale. I am really not optimistic about this, simply because I think that it has been such a long season for these guys, and Arizona just has a better roster. Like on paper, they are a fully better team, but I mean, we've talked about what kind of motivation this organization uses to get themselves going. This was also head coach Trent Cull's first year coaching the Wranglers. Obviously last offseason, they lost to Mitch Love, who didn't get the head coaching position with the Flames, and he ended up accepting a position as the Capitals assistant coach. And along with that, they lost their top scorer, Matthew Phillips, who also went to Washington and then was placed on waivers, went to Pittsburgh, placed on waivers again. And, you would think one of those times Calgary might chime in. They did not. And now he's back in Washington. The Capitals are actually playing right now. I am not sure. Last time I checked, they were leading 1-0. So, I think it's just it's a developmental league and a process, and you're obviously not going to keep all your prospects. That's their assets, and moving on from them isn't always a bad thing. But when you lose hometown guy that can score for nothing, really hurts. Does not feel good, right? We have seen that a lot with this team. Despite stumbling into the postseason on a 5-game losing skid, the Wranglers are indeed a frightening foe. The biggest reason for that is the dude between the pipes. Wolf just returned from an extended stint with the Flames. When the NHL season ended, he was riding a 4-game win streak. Oh, yeah. He happens to be the AHL's reigning MVP. Dustin Wolf is... he's Dustin Wolf. He is the future of the Flames organization. I think that the Flames are so lucky to have him. And I don't care that his NHL career has been bumpy. Truthfully, I don't. I think that, again, everyone's transition to the AHL is not the same, and it's not meant to be smooth. If it's that smooth, especially for a goaltender, I'd be a little worried, especially with how fast he has moved in his development. Some people thought that he was going to do one more year in juniors before jumping to the Flames organization full time, and that didn't end up happening, which that's fine. I mean, he obviously had a great year. He won his first AHL goaltender of the year, so congratulations, and then won again last year. I don't foresee him winning this year, and it's not for a lack of ability. It's more so because of just the games played and some of those stats compared to his other opponents. Also, he will also need Coronado Pelletier, Adam Klapka, and others to provide some offensive pop at the other end of the rink. These can happen quick, these best of threes. We have to make sure we have our best foot forward, said Wranglers bench boss Trent Cull during his weekly appearance on Flames Talk on Sportsnet 960 The Fan. What my experience has been is that you have to outwork the other team. Your best players have to play better than their best players, and you have to make sure you're consistently moving forward. Well, yes. That's kind of a no-brainer, but also good point. I think it's going to be super interesting to watch, especially with Hunter Brustowicz. He's with the Flames the Wranglers right now on his amateur tryout. He is the 19-year-old blue liner that came in from the Vancouver trade. He's currently playing with the OHL's Kitchener Rangers. And that was more than likely his last year in juniors. Probably start the season next year with the Wranglers, and we'll go from there. I would also say that Sam Honzek is going to be fun to watch as well. Sam Honzek was obviously the Flames' first-round pick last season, and he spent a lot of the season injured in juniors as well. But he's, you don't know how a player is going to do until they get there. And this is a whole new ball game, and I am very much looking forward to the Flames and how they work with all of these guys next year. And obviously the immediate goal right now is for the Wranglers to push forward and move on in the playoffs. But coming up next, we are going to talk about Nazem Kadri's fun and exciting announcement that he shared with fans today. But first, I want to talk to you about something that I use just about every night during the NHL postseason, and that would be FanDuel. It's playoff time in the NBA and NHL. Baseball's in full swing, and FanDuel is your place to bet on every game. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150 win or lose. Bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks, all on an app that is safe, secure, and easy to use. What are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet an automatic win. I recommend it just taking the over, the under, or the money line in a game that you have no emotional connection to, so that way you can just watch for fun. But that is FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Policygenius is the country's leading online insurance marketplace. It saves you time and money so you can provide your family with a financial safety net starting today. With Policygenius, you can find life insurance policies that start at just $292 per year for $1 million in coverage. Some options offer same-day approval and avoid unnecessary medical exams. Policygenius helps you compare your options from top companies, and their teams of licensed experts is on hand to help talk you through it. Easily compare quotes from America's top insurers in just a few clicks with your mouse and find the lowest price. Your work life insurance policy may not offer enough protection for your family's needs. Even worse, if it may not come with you if you leave your job. The Policygenius team has no incentive to recommend one insurer over the other, so you can trust their guidance. Check life insurance off of your to-do list in no time with Policygenius. Head to policygenius.com/lockedon or click the link in the description to get your free life insurance quotes and see how much you could save. That's policygenius.com/lockedonnhl. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. Make sure you're subscribed, and you can follow me on Twitter at JessBelmosto. One of my favorite parts of really celebrities in general is when they do a project that isn't normally like in their repertoire. And I'm talking about writing a book. Today, Nazem Kadri announced that he is releasing a book. I like that he's doing it mid-career because then he's going to release it and then he can't just go hide. Not that he owes anyone an answer to anything, but I think it's cool to hear this stuff from these guys. You know, they're human beings that experience a lot of different emotions, and their journey to the NHL is different. Everyone's journey to the NHL is different. And I feel like he has come leaps and bounds in the last 5 years. Growing up a Bruins fan and having to face him in the playoffs made me sick. Kadri was just like a menace to play against, and it was so easy to hate him, especially when he would cross-check players in the face, give them concussions, and then ruin their Stanley Cup run, which eventually led to the Bruins losing the 2019 Cup final. It's okay. I'm over it. We'll get through this. But being traded to Colorado is such obviously an incredible thing that ended up happening because he won the cup. And I want to hear him reflect on that. Maybe the difference in the organization from his time in Toronto to Colorado, because I feel like there were a lot of organizational differences, and Kadri was not treated right in Toronto, I will say. I think that, there was a lot of factors that played into that, and it is incredibly unfortunate. And racism is never okay. Simple as that. I want to hear about why he decided to sign in Calgary. Why were they on his radar? How did the negotiations go? Did he want to say anything when he was asked about, or when people were assuming he had already signed with the Islanders, because he didn't, there was no word, and his signing was, didn't happen till later on in the summer. And I want to hear about what being a leader means to him, because I just know that if you talk to like 2017 Kadri and you told him that he was going to be a respected veteran for a different Canadian team, I don't know if he'd believe you. I wouldn't believe you. I don't think a lot of people would, just based on the way, the lack of discipline and the kind of menace he was. It is very similar to Brad Marchand being named captain at this point in his career, but it's a journey, and I want to hear everything. How has blossoming into a leader after that's kind of start to his career helped him? Has it, offered him a different perspective to kind of talk to these younger guys, Martin Pospisil, about it, and why it's not always a good thing to play that way? But I'm looking forward to reading it. And maybe he'll do signings in Calgary. I do not know, but I think it would be a great opportunity to read that, as well as maybe meet him. But that will do it for today's episode of Locked On Flames. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me as we begin our trek through the off season. Make sure you're subscribed to Locked On Flames wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. And we are here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, your team every day.